Beef jerky and cheese. Beef jerky and cheese. I'm alone in my room, eating beef jerky and cheese. I don't know if I'm streaming yet. I might be. Either way, I'm like beef jerky and cheese. Beef jerky and cheese. Whoa, 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 whoa. Beef jerky and cheese. When I eat beef jerky, then I want some cheese to wash it down. Okay. I don't know if I'm streaming or not. Oh, wait, I see things. Audio check. Can everybody hear my sonorous tones? Beef jerky and cheese. I mean, it's not exactly pickles and beer, but this is very, very cheap wine. With a little bit of beer in the cup already. Well, you guys know how I do it. I like cheap wine, I like cheap beer, and I like cheese and beef jerky. Damn it. There's no turning back now. I've made my choice. So, yeah, I don't know if this frame rate is good, or I keep telling you guys, every time is the first time. I don't know what the hell's going on. So, the beef jerky is chef's cut, Mike, and the cheese is a nice aged Gouda, very dry. Has a picture of like some guy from Vermont on the cover. Anyway, I think I am definitely limited by my gear. When I use the Alienware there in the background, my streams are much, much better. But this is sort of my main drawing computer right now. I think that era might need to end this year. I'm considering a massive switch of gear. I was also going to build a pulley-supported sound booth, so I could actually use a rope and lower a sound booth around my setup from the ceiling, around the Alienware, which is like an epic machine. Works really well. So upgrade the entire thing. Yeah, I don't want choppy streams anymore. It's freaking unacceptable. It's lame. I look at like the live streams that Click does, or like Tim does, Tim Carney, and they're absolutely fantastic. So I don't want to be lame anymore. I'm hoping that Patreon will come through and help with some of funding that upgrade. But, you know, that's all I have to say about that. Okay. Sweetwater. Oh, God, not Sweetwater. I can't. Sweetwater is way too technically advanced for me. Okay. So what are we doing here? I hope my frame rate isn't too crappy. Let me take a look here. What are we looking at? Yeah, that's pretty crummy, but it's not. Yeah, that's pretty damn awful is what it is. You know, there's another limitation, which is I paid to upgrade my internet out here in the country, and they're happy to take the money. But is your internet any faster? It really seems like upload speeds did not increase, although my download speeds are killer. But I don't think normal people are uploading things or streaming, and so they don't give you bandwidth priority. What the hell are we talking about? Screw this. I hope the sound at least comes through clean. My ugly mug I don't care about, but I hope you guys get good sound because my words are my bond. Anyways, skål, you guys. And everyone tuning in, thanks for showing up. We're going to get some work done, and tonight is an exciting night. But first things first, let's make sure that we have wet whistles over here. Yeah, that's nice. The Behringer. That's the thing, man. You can get a $12 bottle of wine and throw a little refresher in there, like a little Coors or something. And it's remarkably delicious. Okay, so welcome everybody. Before we dive into drawing, does my thing work? Yeah, okay, everything's working here. That's good. There we go. We're going to be able to draw. Today is an interesting new take on map work. So I'm just like you guys. I like to build. There's like trucks driving by. Hang on. Wow. Everyone figured out that my neighborhood is the shorter way to get across town. And now they think they can drive their landscaping trucks through my neighborhood. I'm going to like hide stuff on the road. I'm going to put a stuffed monkey out there laying face down and see if it slows people down. Good God, what is happening? All right. What? Did I? Okay. Absolute chaos is unfolding. Okay, I'm like you guys. I'm running games, right? Or I'm getting ready to run games in the future. Or I'm dreaming about games I ran in the past. But a lot of what I do comes from mapping. Right? And so what I want is a map that will give me things to do in the future. Okay, so usually what I'll do is, like, you guys have seen some of these videos. And this is why map work, just as a title, is meaningful to me, because it's like, it's something that all dungeon masters are doing. And whether you're doing it in a sort of artistic fashion to publish, or if you're just doing it as a tool, or you're just doing it as a planning device, map work is something that we all do. So I like to do it on the stream with all of you guys. Now tonight is a little different because, for one thing, I had this huge area in the north of Alfheim, which I have no idea what I was going to put up there. And you guys know that feeling, right? You know that there's going to be something cool, but you honestly, if you're honest with yourself, you have no clue. So I had that big area. Okay, now zoom the camera of comprehension to another place. Now that Patreon has been getting some traction, and let me take a brief moment to sincerely thank everybody who showed up on the Patreon page to be patrons. If you have been enjoying Drunken and Dragons these past almost 3 years and have been having fun with it, please realize that YouTube is zero money in the scheme of things. It's literally barely over like $100 a month, probably because I'm not terribly compatible with a lot of advertisers and so forth. But if you have been having fun with it, please show up on over at the Patreon page, where really it's the right way to throw your sort of $5 in the tip jar. The tip jar on YouTube is not only like they take a cut of it, it's hard to find, it doesn't work in all countries, it has all these limitations. So if you just want to throw $5 my way, and you don't just continue to get YouTube, it's a whole world of audio stories over there that interlock with YouTube. So I'm not going to take what I do on YouTube over to Patreon until it reaches such an insane level that it makes no sense to be on YouTube anymore, which currently I have set at 1,000 patrons. So that would be something, but I don't want to take everything that we've built together and then suddenly put it behind a paywall. That doesn't feel right to me. But if you've been enjoying it, please jump over there and help me like make this a sustainable life. Okay, so there's my panhandling for crying out loud. But there's actual relevance here besides just panhandling. On Patreon, at the like $8 patron level, you can answer these polls, which will give me hints about what to do stories about next. One of the hints that came up from one of the patrons was to do a sort of anthropological study about goblins. He was cranky that goblins always get such a bad rap in RPG worlds, and him knowing that I have a degree in anthropology, that I think like an anthropologist, he wanted me to treat the goblins like an anthropological study. And this is a fascinating idea for me, because it isn't just a short story, it isn't just an adventure, it isn't just a room. It's more than that. It's a study of a people, and that's something that's really intriguing to me. Let me just type this in here real quick. It's this, guys. There it is. Yeah. So that was the idea that was put on the table, and that idea instantly turned into a bunch of writing. And then I was looking at my map, and I had to make sure that the writing and the map lined up well. I had to look for the spot where this settlement was going to be, and I had to fictionalize it. And so tonight, what we're going to do is do the map work that goes with that project. So this is one of the things that I'm so excited about. I'm just finalizing this coastline real quick. Is that Patreon is the place to have a voice that's really, really heard by me as a creative person. Like if you're a patron there, that's the way to have a say in what I'm creating next and get this feeling of doing it together. We're just a few more patrons away too from having a novel that I'm writing that's only going to be available there on Patreon. So I know that it's cheesy and that everybody has like an RPG Patreon these days, and maybe I'm just one among thousands or something. But I gotta admit, once I started figuring it out and feeling this, what it would feel like to have a Runehammer Patreon, it did feel right. It didn't feel cheesy. It didn't feel like begging or, like please give me your money kind of stuff, because I don't like that sensation. It felt right, and I think it's going to be really fun. And doing the stories has also been really fun. I don't know about you guys, but when I get to the table, no matter how much practice I have, how much rehearsal, I wind up never doing cool voices at the table. Because, the moment you get a little self-conscious, and the moment it's too funny and it just doesn't quite work out, right? But on Patreon, recording these stories, I can do my voices. And I'm here in the safety and privacy of my recording space. And I know that I have fun voices to put into this world, and I want to do those voices, and these written sort of performed stories are going to be that outlet for me, so I'm excited about that. Okay, so anyways, here we go. So what we're going to work on is this this goblin settlement. Now the idea is that these goblins have lived in relative isolation for centuries, and they're not the goblins that you often think of as goblins, right? Goblins in almost all fantasy worlds are these lowly folk, right? They're kind of like fodder, I hate to say. But what if there were a settlement of goblins who had been isolated so long that they never were enslaved, they never got exploited, they never got used? They're goblins in their sort of true form from prehistory. And then what shape would that take, and what would they be like? So what I conjured up is this settlement, or this area called Thrusham. And Thrusham is at the northern part of Scar up here. So part of the explanation is, why is it isolated, right? Why did they have this sort of this cultural isolation that makes them a window into the past? And more interestingly, a window into the origin and the sort of true form of goblin kind. That's the challenge, right? That's my creative assignment. So my answer to that is twofold. First of all, you have Scar. Now, we don't know much about Scar yet, but we do know that it's sort of the Mongolia of my world. And it's occupied by some really nasty buggers, so very few people travel through there. Now, secondly, we're going to do something else real quick here, which just came to mind, is we're going to add some jagged sort of sea spires here. Now, these sea spires have kept shipping from really reaching Thrusham over the centuries. For one thing, it would be kind of like the Skeleton Coast, right? There's not much of a reason to go there. It's a very remote area. But then to compound that isolation, you have these sea spires. And there's probably some cool storyline I bet you guys are already starting to see in your mind, where these sea spires are maybe the ribs of a world dragon that fell in the past, right? So we can actually label these later. We can call them the dragon's ribs or the dragon's teeth. There's another game world with a series of islands called the Dragon's Teeth. Which one is that? Is that Faerun? I can't remember. It might be Thule. It might be the savage world of Thule. So anyways, you have these jagged sea spires that surround Thrusham, and they've kept shipping from really reaching Thrusham without great risk to life and limb over the centuries. Okay, so here's these. And of course, since this coastline is sort of complicated and northern, there's these terrible riptides and so on and so forth. So you don't get a lot of seafaring folk from the wider world who are going to Thrusham, right? So then you have Scar on the other side protecting them. And then up here you have what's called the Diamond Sea, which is this basically the Arctic. So there's not a lot of people up there either. Okay, so one of the fundamental premises, yeah, and tall coastal cliffs. I can do those too. So I just usually do that by these little cloned lines. And the little cloned line kind of implies the actual coast, and the upper one kind of implies the top of the cliff. Just like a topo map, right? If you have tight parallel lines, they imply crazy amounts of vertical gain. Okay, right. So you have these cliffy spaces here. Kind of like the West Coast, out by Arcadia and stuff like that. Okay. So there we go. So this is why Thrusham is isolated. Now Thrusham also has a few docks here, so you can see where the coast reaches the water. They have a few docks and piers. But my fundamental assertion in the anthropological study of the goblins of Thrusham is it's a few things. For one, they're very advanced and like sort of peace-loving, badass kind of noble culture. But the fundamental premise of their culture is this sort of adoration or love or gratitude for fire. And they have this sense, this historical, cultural tradition of not only revering fire and being grateful to the gods for fire, but believing that they actually in primordial times discovered fire and brought it to mankind. Fire to them is this reason for gathering. It's the reason for their society, and every night they have these sort of gatherings at these fires called the Urun, or also known as a good Uring. So it's this UR kind of noun that becomes different conjugations. And this is the sort of the cultural center of how they developed, is this gathering. And so a lot of people believe that that goblins are nocturnal, but it's actually just they're tired from being up and grilling all night. So I thought this yeast infection joke might come up. So let's maybe... I already am tired of that. So let's change Thrusham to Thrisham? Thusham? Thusham. There you go. Thusham. The Thusham goblins. That's just as good. I knew somebody was going to make a damn joke about the thrush thing and just like, good God. Okay, so there we go. All right, so what's the relevance of the fire thing? Well, they gather around these fires and it gives, yeah, I know, thrush is also a bird. That's what I had in mind. But I knew someone would just gutter brain it and just be like, ugh. Okay. No offense. That just drives someone crazy when you're making up hundreds and hundreds of different little fantasy names and it always has to go to the gutter. Okay, so the fire thing. So what I wanted to do is first mark the primary sites of a good Uring in the Thusham area. Okay, so let's do these little sites. And these little sites are going to be one of these, which is going to be a little barbecue pit. And then it's going to have some little stones around it, kind of Stonehenge-y kind of stuff. So you can see wherever the cliffs reach out toward the sea, they have these Uring sites. Okay, so this is a little barbecue pit here. And it's marked by these little smells delicious lines. Kind of look like little craters. Okay, and then you have these kind of benches. And I know this totally isn't to scale, but it's going to mark what's going to be interesting about this area. So they're almost like picnic sites or campgrounds, but they're the big ones. So people will have these gatherings in their homes or in the woods, but there are some areas that are traditional where they have them. Okay, so that gives me now some guide, which is I wanted to do this, which is sort of attach or link these areas via roads like that. And then you guys know how I do roads. I just draw some nice flowy lines and then I break them down this way. And I don't really want this sent. This will be like a little town here. Really, the town of Thrusham is right there. Okay. So it's this radial design with the town's roads leaning out. Is my pen seeing width? Okay, yeah, I'm just being clumsy-handed. I was like, am I seeing width properly? Because it just seems really clumsy. Okay, secondarily, I wanted them to have like a round architectural style. So to make that simple on the map, I just wanted to do these kind of mushroomy shapes like this. And this is their town. So you guys know a lot of my little towns have, you know, like angular gabled roofs. But goblins are different. Ooh, there might be a UPS man. That means the dog's going to flip out. Get away from my house. Give me back my son. Okay. So then they also have little, kind of like little Smurf houses. Right? See those little guys? So now what does that all mean, and what's the real detail behind it? I don't know, man. But it gives a DM maybe something that'll spark some little creative part of his brain that'll make things slightly different than they are somewhere else, you know? If you go to a goblin town that's been preserved for centuries, there should be a couple of interesting but not necessarily gameplay details, right? Yep, I hear the UPS guy. The growling has begun. Okay, so there we go. And I think that the goblins of Thrusham, sorry, they live in a piney environment. So let's do some pine trees. Actually, wait, I wasn't doing side to side, was I? I was doing this style. Last night I found out that a pine tree, that the conifer group is larger than just pine trees. It also includes junipers and other things. Yeah, boy, it's a fascinating life, huh? All right, so here we go. So you guys know how I am about lovely little trees, just relaxing into it. I see chat happening, which is exciting. Thrusham. Thank you, Jason Scranton, for adopting the new name. And thank you, I didn't quite catch your name, who has given me pain about Thrush. But thank you, you've pushed us to a better place. Yeah, Smurf sequel campaign in Thrusham. There you go, that's a fantastic idea. I think that's a perfect example of seeing what I want to be the value of a map. It doesn't have to be serious, it doesn't have to be cool and bad, it doesn't have to be any of that stuff. It can just be anything to get the creative wheel turning. As you guys know, the hardest part about creativity is the blank page. Once you're underway, things start to move pretty easily, but man, when you're at that moment just staring at white blankness, whew, it can be very intimidating. And I don't care if you do this all day, every day, or on your lunch break, or what. It's always difficult. It never gets easy. Which is both exciting and terribly depressing. Okay, so I'm doing some more little pine trees here. So now I've got my basic space, right? Okay, fine. So there's a village up here. Now, what here is more interesting than this is what I start wondering. You know, what are the sort of the odd adventure-y destinations that are here that maybe I'm not quite seeing yet? What happens up here? At least in my imagination, before other dungeon masters show up and bend it their own way. What's a cool adventure to do among noble goblins? Well, I definitely think that they have become fierce warriors by defending against the raiders from Scar. So usually when I have a conflict of that type, there's some kind of, I don't know, like a barrier or stoppage. Okay, underground lair. That's a great idea too, Bearded Goblin. Thank you. Oh man, Goblin Lottery. That's so fantastic. Read the name. Read the name. Yeah, and like the Lord's daughter has secretly been kept out of the lottery all these years, and it's time for justice. I don't know, Argentum. You tell me. What are they connected by more than just roads? I don't know. So on the one hand, the upper coast of Scar, which is the Diamond Sea coast, is sort of protected by a series of mountains. And it's not a huge mountains like the Unalaya or anything, but you have these kind of clunky, typical mountains here, and it gives them some shelter from the seaward side, right? Like Eastwatch in Game of Thrones. All right, so there you go. Okay, now I don't need a huge range of mountains here. I just need just enough to kind of block that area. Now down here, this is where things get more interesting. So let's do a goblin wall. So it's that much. They've built that much wall. There we go. At the extremities of this wall, little goblin mushroom towers. Now the hard one, I got to do this parallel line here, and I got to pull it like, no. There we go. That'll do. There you go here. Give it a little bit of that 3D magic. Doot, doot, doot. Here's a little door into the tower. That goes down there. There's the bottom. A couple of rocks kind of break it up here and there. We'll kind of draw these in a little more in a second. More rocks kind of breaking things up. More rocks. And then this final tower is sort of built against these rocks here. So here's my little mushroom tower. Get a little shadow under the roof. There's some sort of dark areas on the wall here where the light doesn't reach. And then there's little arrow loopholes, I believe is the medieval name for them, but little arrow slots, archer slots. So here we go, and now we're kind of getting into the rocks. So I hope the feed is working for you guys, where you can keep up with the madness here if it's worth watching. You know, I think it's a really common feeling for people living this kind of odd postmodern YouTube life to often wonder, why the hell are people tuning into this? But then when you look back at your own work, sometimes you're like, hey, yeah, that was pretty cool. But man, while you're doing it, you're just like, I don't know, am I doing the thing that we've been talking about all weekend, or is this just garbage? Okay, here we go. So we got some little boulders. So see, now this sort of goblin civilization has sort of now it feels monolithic or megalithic. It feels great. Oh, the Great Fire Pit. Great idea. Game Over Club. Awesome idea. So there's one that's like their grand barbecue gathering, right? I love that idea. Well done. Okay, so let's move some trees up here. I'm going to put it right here because it needs to be by this cliff. It just has to be. I don't know how I know that, but I know that. Okay, and this is the Great Barbecue Pit. So it's like, actually, no, wait. They've cut it into a giant rectangle. It's almost like their stadium. Now, the way that I'm portraying it in the art is, of course, sort of exaggerated. I mean, there isn't just a massive hole, you know, that's like, what's that place in WoW where the big building used to be, and it was blown up and it just left this massive crater. Like Shadow Labs are down there and stuff like that. The Sketis, the Halls of Sketis. What was that place called? Hey Hank, you're going to need a gate for that wall, otherwise you're going to have to walk all the way around. Well, I think that's just it, Michael, is that they haven't gone anywhere. And if they do, they slip through the mountains here. No one really, except a few sort of anthropologist types, has ever even discovered that these goblins exist. That's kind of the point here, is that they're isolationists in the extreme. And the reason that they are is that goblins have such a terrible rap in the wider world that they're trying to preserve their culture. Which, modern events have informed us that isolationism is generally a very destructive behavior, but I think it could be arguable that in a feudal sort of fight to survive society, it could be make a lot more sense. Is this whole thing I know what I'll do. I'll fill this in, and then I'll just do some little lines that are cut out to be like the little grate in there. So yeah, there we go. So it's like this massive freaking coal fire pit that they all gather around once a year for this grand barbecue, the Great Uring. I love it. Thanks for the idea, man. That's the magic relationship that I'm looking for as far as why we do things on YouTube, why I'm doing it on Patreon, why I'm always like basically shouting out to all of you guys to sort of help, both financially, creatively, enthusiastically, posting your photos, posting your videos, all that stuff. It's like, I don't know. There's a bit more of a sublime conversation I wanted to have tonight, but I got to get my map work done first. Okay, so real quick, remember I have to zoom out and check for black balance. Remember that? I'm always talking about like, man, you got to get your balance right. Your trees need to match. You should have... One area shouldn't look like it's the super area and others are sort of left behind. That's bad. Because I'll tell you, over time, it can be very hard to match your own drawing style. Like, if you get better and then you go back to a piece you've been working on, you don't want it to make the old work look terrible, right? That's not cool. So again, just doing little pine trees. And I also like the idea of a goblin race that's up north. I think they're often portrayed as being, sort of jungle dwellers, or they're kind of among the bugs and the flies and the ferns, and I like to imagine almost goblin Vikings. And they're still diminutive of stature, but not of heart. It's so corny. Good God, man. Okay. So I want a little crenellations along here. I don't know if I really have room to draw it, but how do I do that without kind of wrecking the back surface? See, the back one is easy to draw, but then I put them on the front, and it's kind of like, let me just experiment while I have a small enough number of moves to... what I could do is fill in the top. Like so. And that's how I'll do my whole wall. So everybody bear with me, because here we go. We're going to draw a million of these little things. There could be a great adventure story too, where the raiders from Scar are building like a big offensive on this wall because they are tired of the Thushums being in their territory, right? And so for whatever reason you need to go to their aid. One idea I thought that might be really fun is to actually, for the ICRPG Worlds book, is to add Goblin as a bioform that you could play. And all this momentum and all these ideas, they're all coming from one place, which is a Patreon suggestion. I can't emphasize that enough, because I think it's really an exciting it's an exciting time to be alive and working on RPGs. Okay, so I'm still in here drawing these stinking things. So you see how I just filled in the top of the wall, and that gave me the chance to sort of add this detail without it getting too cluttered. Sometimes, outlining will work against you as far as detail. Like, outlining will get too tight. You just run out of space to do outlining. So instead of fighting it, try to just use, fill and delete. And with fill and delete, you can get a little more room because the contrast is so high. All right. Cool, man. Look at that. That's fun. I like it. I don't like the dome, though. I think the dome is working against me, so I'm going to change it up. I'm going to keep the round element because I want their huts to be round. They have like round houses. But I don't like this sort of round top. It's just too... It's not... I don't know. It doesn't feel right. I'm not sure why, but it just doesn't feel right. Okay, then I'm going to go back and I'm going to kind of do these sort of things. Well, let's try some different ones. Yeah, see, I like that better. They have this kind of improvised thatchy cone kind of tradition. Almost like a gnome, like a gnomey shape. There's gnome place like home after all, so yeah, here we go. Much better. So it just makes it seem more old, more badass, more kind of hell yeah, rather than kind of dookie 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 doo. That just didn't feel right for the story I'm wanting to tell about these guys. Okay. I was like putting little doors on the guard towers of the wall, which is like completely counter to the purpose of the wall. Okay, so this is a little close here. This is called tangents. So tangents are edges of shapes that don't want to be close to each other, so you always have to watch for those. Like right here. One rule of thumb is to sort of imagine a finger of space between the edge of a thing and the other edge of a thing. And if it's within a finger, then it's probably not right. It's an old, I used to be in newspaper class, and that was like a rule that we used. Everything had to be a finger away from everything else. It makes everything breathe. Okay, cool. So here we are. Nice. Now I like it a lot better with the sort of more pointy tops. Oh, I love it, Scranton. I love it. What god do the goblins worship? Oh, they worship Gud. G-U-D-D. Do a lake with a small hut owned by an old warrior. Okay, Tiger Jelly. Not only is your username awesome as hell, so we're going to get rid of this Uring site here. And this old warrior is maybe like one of their wise men. And he lives on this sort of promontory here on a lake. So here's our new style, right? There's his little hut. I mean, anybody can draw that little hut. Come on. How cute is that? Okay. Then it's out on this little promontory or outcrop on a lake like this. So see how that kind of came out? And then you do your little ripples to indicate that it's water. Now, one interesting thing is that there's a road heading up there. So maybe they consult this old warrior now and again. Oh yeah, I almost forgot my little chimneys. There you go. So there's your story, is somehow this... I don't think he's an outcast, but he's a bit of a hermit up there. And we could definitely give that a name. So let's make room for a name. And that's like... where's my thing? What? How did I... No. My name is Photoshop, and I want you to do things my way. Okay. Let's save that up real quick. Would the old warrior get seizures and visions? Well, geez, I don't know if he has to have seizures, for crying out loud. He can have visions and just sort of be sitting there, roasting a turkey. He doesn't need to have seizures. That's a little gnarly. But maybe he is, so old that there's a time coming, actually, he needs to pass on his role. But he doesn't want people to know that he got old and died, so he has to choose a successor who can secretly become the old hermit warrior wise man without, people needing to face the fact that even the old hermit immortal was also mortal. That's his sacrifice, is that he dies in secret to keep his story going for the sake of his people. Okay, checking balance. Yeah, looks pretty good. Looks pretty good. And so we're starting to get into too many little doodads, right? Because like Gilhelm is over here, which is next to Ship's Helm is the next one over there. Ship's Helm and Gilhelm. But we haven't done Ship's Helm yet. And so we don't want to overpopulate, right? So I'm going to make a quick check. Oh, look at that. I've been doing trunks like 2 lines. And these trunks are single lines. So let's fix all that. So brace yourselves for a really exciting phase where I make the trunks match the other trunks on the map. Okay, so first I need to clean off the trunks, because this is what's really going to give you that magic over time, which all you cartographers out there know is like the magic is not in which stylistic choices you make, but that you're able to consistently execute them. Which is a very Bob Ross kind of philosophy, right? You know, it's not so much what you do, it's that you do. My favorite one he said is, it's your world, you know, get in there and make some decisions. I love that. Okay, so now I'm just doing 2 little lines. Some of them with little root bases, some of them not. So yeah, the implication here is kind of that, you know, these pine trees have very big trunks. And I noticed that my other one had a little more shagginess on the trees, so I'm getting a little shaggy. And then you have these kind of grasslands out here. Now remember, I don't want to fill in every single detail on this map because I want to leave spaces. You know, that's one of your principles in Dungeon World, is make maps and leave spaces, and I really do believe in that approach. You don't need to fill everything in. You want questions. Plus, it's the ancient world. They didn't have every piece of information. Okay, cool. So there we have most of Thusham. So I didn't want a million answers inside Thusham, right? I didn't want, you know, this vast culture. But I did want a hint of, there's one town, there's this great grilling site, I love that. There's this lake where this warrior is sort of stationed, and actually maybe he's like the 7th or 8th one. You know what I mean? Like it's already passed from generation to generation. It's like their tradition to have this great warrior hermit. I love that. And then they have the wall, which has been holding the Scarish raiders at bay. Now I've also been hiding these little fortresses, like this one right here, throughout the map, and I want to do that up at Thusham. And I think they're sort of like places of power. And in the case of Thusham, it's out here in the upper grasslands, but not inside their borders. And unlike a lot of these, this one's just out in the open, just out on the plains, like Dances with Wolves style. On the 4th day, the wolf reappeared. At that time, I was not wearing pants. That's my Kevin Costner impression. All right, so you do this with, if I remember correctly, you do a block with a block on either side. I saw the wolf again today. It approached my camp when I was not wearing any pants. All right. And then, is there a little door? I forget. I got to go find a place of power. Oh, there's a little notch in the top. There we go. There. And then you clip off the tops. There you go. There's my little secret. Little what is that? And that is completely for players and DM to discover what that little thing means. I have no idea what that means. And then it's got a nice big pine tree growing near it. Why? I don't know. Maybe there are wardens there who are caring for this mighty old tree, and they have a little fortress, and I don't know. Shit. Could be anything. Okay. Don't let your whistle run dry, buddy. Yeah, Michael Odom. Maybe actually, hey, how about Odom? We'll give him a little dock right here. See that? And that's actually where he keeps his ship. And maybe it's because of the Hermit. Maybe it's his duty to protect the sort of the seaways from invaders and from outsiders. So I love your idea. So let's give him a little boat here, a little war boat, a little goblin war boat. So it's got a little, it's like a little jib, a jib schooner here, which is totally not any kind of term that is actual. Hey, that's a nice little jib schooner you got. Hey, thanks, man. Made it up. So maybe on an adventure you could go with him on this thing, or you could become the next Hermit warrior, or who knows, all kinds of stuff. The fun is stirring the idea machine, not giving it all its answers. There we go. So see, he's got a little boat, and then that boat gets he's hogging the attention a little bit. So one of the luxuries of Photoshop is that I can kind of tone that down. But you don't want to scale too much, or you can blow your line weight. Okay, cool. And I don't know if somebody was asking me there. Yeah, you got to love a good jib schooner. Yeah, I use Cintiq. This is very, very inspirational. First time viewer. Hey, Steve Woodward. Welcome, man. Good to have you. I love newcomers. In the game of life, we're all first-time players. So welcome. Really nice to have you. I'm just trying to get my work done here. So if you guys are wondering, if you're new or unfamiliar with what I'm doing, this is a map for the upcoming ICRPG Worlds book, which will be on drive-thru. It's the second book in the ICRPG collection, which is going to be 4 books when it's all said and done. And it's basically 3 worlds. It's the world of Alfheim, which is this sort of fantasy world. It's the world of Warp Shell, which is my science fiction world. And it's the world of Ghost Mountain, which is getting a lot of interest lately, which is my sort of supernatural Wild West setting. Okay, great. Awesome. I love this. Thusham has a lot of life and personality, in no small part thanks to you guys. Like, I mean, I just love to see how direct that creative relationship can be between us. It's just so raw and simple. And pow, just like that, we're working together. So I'm going to clean up a few of my roads. You know, don't be connected to something you did just because you did it. Just feel free to let go. I don't think there's one here. And because I like an area to breathe. I don't want it to have so much data in it that you can't feel the, you know, the sort of quote-unquote air moving through the drawing. Like, is this really doing anything for me? No. There we go. And like just moving things slightly so you get that breathability in a space. Awesome. I think there is most of Thusham right there. That's about what I was hoping for. I didn't know what I was going to do, just that I wanted to do it. And then let's get a little bit of... I noticed, like, squinting my eyes, so to speak, that I'm like missing black balance, which is, you know, how much ink is distributed over the canvas. It's like too light out here. So I'm just adding some sort of, I guess you could call them shadows, but they're really just, you know, sort of thickening lines. If you think of them as shadows, then you're like, oh God, I don't know how to do lighting. And yeah, you don't want to be feeling that way. You want to feel like you know what you're doing, not like you don't. Okay. There we go. Great. Do a couple little waves. Little waves. All right, super. Okay, zooming way out to the stratosphere. Here we are. By the way, you guys haven't seen this area. I did this not on a stream, but I've got most of this northeastern corner done. So this is the Black Castle, Castle Manak, and then these weird islands with these like Nazca lines, if you guys are familiar with the Nazca lines, and a lot of little sort of hints at adventure down in here. But I really like the Black Castle. I mean, check it out. How cool is that? There's the Black Castle. So the Black Castle is kind of like an extremely heavy-handed way of me saying, like, it's a boss fight. There's a boss up in this part of the world. Okay, sweet. Look at that. It's nice and filled in up there at Thrusham. And now we kind of have Scar to think about. So why don't we just, how long has it been now? About a little over half an hour. So let's just kind of keep going. What do you guys think? Oh, hey, the talking head. Thanks, Alpha. I appreciate that. I will be posting more free posts on Patreon. So I totally understand if you're short on ducats. Man, we can all relate to that. So I'll keep the free posts coming on Patreon as well. And the most important thing is that we stick together. Right? I want to quickly experiment with not having a base on this wall. Is that going to look weird? Yeah, I think it's going to look weird. Okay, cool. Just needed to... I need to verify. Trust but verify. Okay, so I'll let you guys soak in some of the map insanity here. This whole area is done. I'm gonna leave these islands blank for players. Most of the center is done. I still have a few gulfs that I wanted to fill in to make sure people know where the story's linked to the map. Yeah, later, Proo. Take it easy. But I would like to do some more of Scar here. So I want to do this kind of curved, if you guys can see my cursor. I want to do this kind of curved space in Scar. And I think actually this needs to sit a little more like this. There you go. I don't know what drove me to make that change. I have no... Yeah, Alpha, hey, no worries, man. You know how it is. And the most important thing is that we stick together so that someday we can bump into each other at a con or something like that and get a game in. I mean, I hope you guys realize that I only pester about Patreon and stuff like that because this is my livelihood. This is my job. So it's not something I enjoy doing as far as, pestering about sort of... throwing dollars into the skull, as I like to put it. But I got to be honest. I got to say my piece. I got to stand up for myself. Okay, so I'm just doing final on this coastline. And this outline coastline that I have is only here as a guideline because I wanted to accurately match the map that I released in my free content. Geez, it was almost like a year and a half ago at this point. Almost 2 years ago. Which is where I put out that free map of Alfheim and the location starters and stuff like that. So I wanted to make sure that anyone who had accepted that as canon would not hit turbulence going into this map. I know there's probably basically no people worried about that, but that attention to detail matters. Okay, at least to me. Okay, so there's the northern coast is complete. I like your free stuff, but I did go all in and ordered a hardcover. Plus, B may not like the actual, but I will definitely steal ideas from it. Danny M. Hey, man, that's how I am with 90% of the RPG books that I buy. They may not be at my table, they may not be here or there, but I love them, and I get more and more of them, and they all find a way into making my games better. Hey, there's Axebane. What's up, dude? Okay, so we're just drawing along here. We've done Thrusham. Really intrigued with the whole Hermit, the Hermit by the Lake culture. That's very interesting. I'm going to get that into the story, so that'll eventually find its way to Patreon. And this relationship has become symbiotic in a way now that this is also going into the books. So the World's Book will feature what's going on in Patreon, and it's becoming like a whole crisscrossing mess, which seems really neat to me. Maybe it's not that neat, but it's pretty darn neat. Okay, one thing I don't have is like massive, like mesa type environments. I want to do something like that. So I'm going to kind of stay a little further out for a minute, a little bit bird's eye here. And I'm going to do these big mesas like this. These are basically just squiggly lines where you don't know what they're doing, and then you go to each squiggly line, and then you just pull lines down from it and kind of let your hand vibrate a little bit, and you get like this mesa kind of look. So squiggly line in a kind of a smooshed shape, and then find the sharp spots and pull lines down and let your hand be dumb. Remember, your brain may not know what to do, but your hand always does. Okay, so then 2 huge ones, and then we'll get into some smaller ones. Another tip I can really, with great confidence, give people about drawing is let the editor come after the drawing. So if you try to play an editor with yourself while you're drawing, you tend to not get that far because you're self-critiquing while you're drawing. So just draw first, and then, you know, when you feel a lull coming on, then you can go back and ask if it's good. This is generally referred to as the Osborne method. Osborne was basically the modern inventor of brainstorming, and he worked on a lot of creative theory, but his basic position was that to access like preconscious thinking, you have to suspend judgment. That's his key contribution to creative thinking, is suspension of judgment. So don't judge what you're doing while you're doing it. Trust me, there's plenty of time to judge what you're doing. You don't need to waste your time judging what you're doing while you're doing it. You will judge what you're doing for the rest of your life. So, okay, so now I'm just going to kind of pick maybe the left side, and you guys know how I am about black balance or ink weight. So I'm just going to start getting some more ink laid down here, because you guys can feel how wispy these are. They don't feel heavy enough compared to the other stuff on the map. So we're just going to we're going to do stuff. We're just going to fill things in. I have no idea what I'm doing. This does not count as lighting. It is just, hey, here's a spot. I'm going to put some ink here. And usually what I'll do is I'll follow a line that I like, make it fatter, and kind of fill in the difference, right? Add some blobs. I mean, I don't want to be too reductive. I'm sure that there's some kind of cool, deeper thinking going on in my brain, but in my hand, it's extremely simple. So, one of my mottos: do not pay attention to the brain, pay attention to the hand. All right. So, oh boy, I've got mottos. Hey guys, you want to come over to my house? I got some new mottos. All right. Actually, remember those applesauce commercials for the Mott's? I got the Mott's. Like they're almost implying that like the Mott's were like cocaine or something. Like it was a sort of a secret that you had the Mott's applesauce. Like, hey, I got the Mott's. Like that's how good it is. It's so good, like people will cut you if they find out that you've got the Mott's and you didn't give them some. And they will cut you deep. They'll cut you emotionally. Okay, so I don't know if you've remained entertained at this point, but I'm just working through these stinking mesas, right? So we wanted Scar to be this Mongolian kind of forbidding sort of step, which we already have the Kedish steps. So let's take a look at the Kedish steps and see what we kind of have for a comparison. Here's the Kedish step. Oh, nothing has been done. It is perfectly blank. So that's pretty funny. Like, I wonder if it matches the other part of the map that I have not done yet. Okay, you're dumb. Okay, great. So there we go. Now let's get a little grass in here. And I don't want to get it too dense in here. I want this feeling that Scar is like the Barrens on Kalimdor, right? Hey, the day has not come yet when I'm going to apologize for making references to Warcraft. It may not be popular anymore, but by God, I'm not done with it. Okay, so we got some grass. And look how huge these grasslands are. I mean, they go on forever and ever. Like, this is the biggest city down here in Gray in all of Alfheim. And then look at the size of Scar. It's like, maybe my brain is being affected by riding my motorcycle across Canada, but the idea of these massive spaces is appealing. Okay, now Dur Olo, if you guys remember from the previous stream, has this kind of squat architecture style, and I'm going to carry that out into here, into Scar. So this is the sort of the final outpost of that architecture style. Now I know it's just like little stubby shapes, right? Does that really count as an architecture style? Absolutely. Absolutely. Every little cue that you do, every little suggestion, especially in cartography, really counts. Will be over-interpreted. So it looks like they also have these banners. And there you go. So there's a little settlement. So you see it just kind of links the two. It's really all it does. It just serves to say, hey, these guys kind of made it out here. And maybe there's a small road right here. We traveled a small road for almost 4 days. Luckily, I brought a PBR tall boy, so I was good to go. That's my indigenous Alaskan impression right there. Okay. Awesome. I dig that, man. That really gave a sense of story there, that one little settlement out there. That's neat. What does it all mean? Then they got get by lizard riders. Oh my gosh, there have to be lizard riders out here. How can we sort of play on the lizard rider idea? Well, I don't know about that, but I do know there's a cave right here. I have no idea what that has to do with lizard riders, but it's the cavern of the lizard riders, I guess. How about if we do like a rock that looks like a lizard that the lizard riders worship? And I'm going to have to go out on a limb here and say it's called Lizard Rock. So Lizard Rock, where's the spot? I think Lizard Rock's probably up here. But Lizard Rock is also sort of a mesa, like this. I don't know if you guys can see what I'm seeing right now, but damn, Lizard Rock, you dope. I'm going to toot my own horn for just a second. Look at that. God, lizard snouts are so freaking funny every time, I swear. Never gets old. At least when you're, you know, a numbskull like me. You see somebody put a napkin on their head, you think it's hilarious. Alright. There you go. There's Lizard Rock, guys. Should it get a little eye? Oh my god, the eye. Look at the little eye. There it is. There it is. We must make the pilgrimage to Lizard Rock. This also has a cave. The Lizard Riders. On the solstice of every 15th year, hundreds of them gather at Lizard Rock. Oh man, they need a gathering place. Okay. So let's give them a henge. So remember, you guys, have been putting henges around here. Some of them are labeled, but a lot of them aren't. Let's find. There's one. Look at that little henge. See, pine henge? So let's do a henge. I was just looking for visual style. So there's a little hill right here. Oh my god, I'm such a dork. No, I'm not. I'm a person. I'm a smart, creative, honest person. Not a dork. Dork is a hateful word that other people put on me. I'm not going to put it on myself. Damn it. I'm not a dork. I'm a badass. Boom! Look at that little henge. Woo! What Will Smith say when he draws the henge? I'll tell you what. Woo! Alright. Just finishing out this little hill. There you go. Now I got... Remember the one finger rule? That gets a little snug in there. I need a finger of space. There you go. There you go, buddy. Look at that Lizard Rock. Oh my god. It's so cool. I think it needs to be labeled. That's how significant it is in the world of Alfheim. So we're going to actually take this mesa as well. I'm just going to give a little more room here because remember the finger rule. Okay, then I'll grab this Durolo label, pull this on up. Oh my god, I'm so excited right now. If you guys understand why I'm excited right now, you know me. You know me well. Look at that. Come on. Get out of here. Just get the hell out. The henge is called Lizard Henge, my friend. The D-strap. The D-strap. Ilyaman's terms, in layman's terms. Absolutely, that's great. My advice is don't put too much time into the coastline. I know it can be very ensorceling to draw the coastline, but just let the coastline be. Interesting coastlines do not make story. I'll tell you what makes story. You guys know what I'm going to say? Lizard effing rock. Woo! All right, drink if you got them. No, the font is Tratatello. So when it comes time to get this all released and published and everything, I'll contact the creator of Tratatello and keep it all above table. It's something that I've been feeling really good about lately is paying for my fonts. It really is, in most cases, completely optional, but you know, that's cool. Somebody put work into that. So why not, you know, hook them up a little bit. There we go. Lizard Henge. You guys gotta love that. I mean, come on. The Devil's Dining Table. Oh, that's the colloquial name, dude. You see how it's just things are happening? Sergeant 86. Hey, thanks, man. I appreciate that. I did make it home safely. It was a crazy and amazing adventure. It wound up being 7,000 miles in about 3 weeks' time to ride my bike out across Canada to Gen Con. And it was absolutely amazing. I highly recommend it if you have the means to go on an adventure by yourself. You know, and it's easy to say, dude, you're living the dream and stuff like that. But you guys, please realize that life is complicated, and I do pay a price for everything that I do. You know, I have dogs and I have a wife, and you know what I mean? You can't just, it's not quite as simple as you're living the dream. There's always a little bit of a cost, and there's responsibility to it, and it's not easy. But sometimes you gotta, you know, like hard earning what you really want in life can be really important. Okay, enough philosophy. Let's do a forest. You guys know how I love doing this. A nice big forest. This one's going to be deciduous though, and it's going to be one of the furthest north deciduous forests. But we have a sort of a lowland. You know, like Scar is a bit of a lowland unless you're up on the mesas. So let's get in here close. Wow, that is really close. And basically hold on to your butts because we're going to do a deciduous forest that's kind of behind this. So everybody, like, smoke them if you got them. Because I'm going to be here a while doing trees. I have been called the Bob Ross of RPGs, and I am thankful beyond words that anyone would ever think that of me. That is probably the most flattering thing that has been said about me on this entire RPG journey. Because Bob Ross is absolutely one of my freaking heroes. He's a true baller in the most essential way that the term baller can be used. Bob Ross is one of them. Alright, so we're just kind of doing some little blobs. Right, you do your bubbly blob, and then you do some little trunks with the little root bits on the bottom. So there's actually going to be this big forest which obscures this cave. Now, what is this cave? What's it called? I'm not going to put that on the map. That's for DM and player to figure out. Remember, draw maps, leave gaps. Oh God, why did it have to rhyme? Why did it have to rhyme? Why did it have to rhyme? Rhyme after rhyme. You picture me. I'm drawing some tiny trees. And you said, draw rocks. I draw your behind. Oh, okay. I think I've had a few glasses at this point. Cool. So see, this doesn't necessarily have to be every tree. But, you know, in world scale, one of these sort of little tree icons could mean, you know, crossing through a forest on your trip. Oh, wait, we got a bunch of comments that I missed. Maybe one of the mesas has a strange symbol carved in the dirt. You're damn right it does. So we'll go look over by the Black Castle. And let's see what those Nazca lines look like. And then we'll bring some of them over here. Maybe there's like a network of teleportation linkage up in this part of the world. Or maybe it's just unexplained. Nobody knows what these things are, like in the real world where the Nazca lines are completely unexplained. Okay, I mean, you know, depending on who you listen to. Some might say that they're totally explained, that they are alien navigational marks. So here's the Nazca lines that I did on this island. No explanation. I don't know what those are. I don't want to explain it, but now I have visual reference. Let's pick the biggest mesa and do this. Thanks for the idea, by the way. Oh, it already scrolled up, so I can't thank you properly. I don't know your name. Yeah, you guys got to forgive me with the losing track of the chat thing. I'm really bad with it. NASCAR lines. That's pretty good. Yes, the mysterious NASCAR lines of North America. It's like where people wait to get a chili dog. That's a NASCAR line. And no one knows why they do it. Why don't they just bring their own chili dogs? It's a mystery for the ages. When we used to go to the Mile High Nationals in Colorado, which is the top fuel drag racing, they let you bring a cooler in there, man. You don't have to stand in the NASCAR lines. All right, there we go. It's kind of some of these weird little... I mean, are they weird? I don't know. The reader of the map will have to decide if they feel this is strange or not. But we'll always have this secret together, guys. We'll know about the NASCAR lines. I mean, that you want to talk about an inside joke that's never going to be funny again? So, guys, I was on this live stream the other day. And we're like, the NASCAR lines, yuck, yuck, yuck. Your friends are just like, we're not your friends anymore. Like, damn, that's all it took for you to betray me? One bad joke about NASCAR? Okay, cool, check that out. Yeah, man, that's a dope idea. Okay, I'm a little bit off on black balance. You guys feel that? So, I just need to add some weight here and there. And I'm going to do it in this sort of zoomed out view so that I can keep an eye on black balance. There we go, that's better. See, it's not even that much. It's subtle, but if things get too wispy, they look like they're sort of not wanted or not liked, which isn't true at all. All children are loved equally in this world. All right. This deciduous forest reaches all the way up here to the northernmost coast. So, I don't know, an analogy to that might be sort of like Maine, you know? Maine is a mixture of coniferous and deciduous. I think actually even like the taiga in Russia has some deciduous in it. It's not all coniferous. Which is creepy because that means like a big part of the year you're just going to have dead trees everywhere. And that's like, ugh. Creep zone. Cool, look at Scar. It's starting to get some personality here. So we'll get this positioned just right, because the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the one or the few. And there we go. Coop's going. Oh, seriously? Can you guys hear that? It's super hot here, by the way, guys. Like, we are blanketed in smoke and ash, and it's making it really, really hot. So if you can hear Coon back there panting, the poor dog's too hot. Go on, bud. Go, like, sit by the door. Go on. Go cuddle with your brother. And just make it worse. Yeah, I know. Good boy. Coop's going at it. It's too funny. Go on. Go on, buddy. Go on. See, usually when I say go on, he thinks that means like go into his little hut. Oh, it's cool in Tennessee. Oh, man, Tennessee's beautiful. Cooper. Good God. Welcome to my life, you guys. You know how much I have to listen to that sound? Good Lord. Or like slurping. So much slurping. Okay, so this peninsula up here is cool, but you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to... Okay, now I can't hear anything except you. Now you got it in my head, Distrab. Go on. Shoo. Go on. Go on. Go on. You ever seen a dog that doesn't want to go somewhere? They move so slow. Go! Cooper, please. Please leave. No, not that direction. That direction. Go on. Oh my God. I give up. Okay. So, I don't want this to be a peninsula. I want it to be a big-ass mountain. And I think it's actually... Is it a big-ass volcano, even? It's a little too big, honestly. So we're gonna chop it off a little bit. All right. And then back to this one. And then... There we go. Oh, sweet. It's not a volcano. It's the sort of mountain version of a mesa. You know, the thing about a panting dog, too, it makes you start to feel hotter. You guys ever get that? Where you start thinking to yourself, like, maybe if I start breathing like that, I'll cool off a little bit. It's not working. I'm getting hotter. It really is a nerve-wracking sound. Okay, cool. Look at this. Whoa. And you know what? For the critical hit, actually, I don't have quite the same perspective, so I'm going to do a super cheap trick and do that. Look at this. Whoop. There we go. Chintzy, I know. But I just wanted to haul right through it. You know, generally I eschew the use of tools like that. Eschew. Cooper? Don't. Well, don't hold your breath or anything. I mean, God's man. Well, you're not a man, you're a dog. I'm not a man, I'm an animal. All right. And then down here, I think there's one of the dwarven doors. You guys are too funny. Like, how many people are on the stream, by the way? You guys mind if I click over into some messy screen here? Hey, we got 160 crazy mofos. 116. Stone cold kicking it tonight. So welcome to Tuesday, everybody. While I have your ear, I guess maybe it's time for announcements and stuff. Oh, man, it's been an hour. That's crazy. No wonder it's getting so hot. Great announcements. Oh my God, Cooper. Seriously, now it's just making me go nuts. Tomorrow night, live, I'm going to interview John Harper right here on YouTube. So John Harper is the author of Blades in the Dark. But more than that, he has been writing RPGs and living that independent RPG writer life for, I think, more than 20 years. I'm going to let him speak for himself tomorrow night, but This is an accomplished creative professional, and for reasons I have yet to fully comprehend, he's going to let me pin him down live on YouTube, and we're going to talk about writing RPGs and being creative and innovating, and it's going to be awesome. So I hope you guys can tune in. That is at that's at 5 o'clock tomorrow, I think. Yes, that's at 5 o'clock tomorrow. So it'll be live here with John Harper tomorrow night. So if you can, tune in, because I've never done any kind of interview kind of thing. So I'm just going to be a big, selfish, crazy person and ask him questions that I want to know the answers to. And I think that'll make the formula for a good interview. It just goes to show how little I know about anything. I'm sure that's what Barbara Walters is thinking as she's going in to interview like Charles Manson or Nelson Mandela or something. She's like, I'm just going to be selfish in this interview and get the answers I want. It's gonna be great. I'm Barbara Walters. Man, my version of Barbara Walters is really kind of mad and mean and aggressive, which is pretty cool. It's like the new Amon Amarth album is Barbara Walters themed. So see what I kind of ran with your Nazca idea. There's another one with Nazca lines up on the top. Right? Pretty dope, right? Pacific Daylight Time, yeah. So same as today. Okay, guys, that is going to about wrap it up for now. Doing a ton of work. Awesome. Map's looking good. And here it goes. Whoop, she's gone. All right, we're going to go recursive so I can get big. I'm getting big. Nice. Look at me. I'm huge. I'm huge, fool. I'm straight yoked. All right. Away with you, recursion. And then there's more recursion actually, isn't there? Because of this dang thing. Let's see if we can just go like this. You guys get to see me using the internets. There you go. Okay, so now all you see is the chat, hopefully. Hopefully I have some level of competence. Okay, everybody. Woo! Thanks for tuning in. That was awesome. So, yeah, tune in tomorrow for the John Harper interview. That's going to be cool. What else do we got going on? There's all the Patreon stuff. So there's like 5 new projects that I have underway for Patreon. So if you can, even at the lowest level, it's the number one way to help me out. I think as soon as I'll put it up as a goal on Patreon. If I can reach maybe 300 patrons, I'm just going to demonetize everything on YouTube because it just isn't much revenue at all. And let's face it, the ads are annoying. So I think that could be awesome. What else is going on? I have some wacky stuff coming up. RPG Loot Crate sent me a crate. So that's random. So I did a kind of goofy video of opening up the RPG Loot Crate and basically trying to evaluate, is it worth the money? So I'm doing that one. I got a book review coming up of Torchbearer, and I have a hack coming up of Blades in the Dark, which is why I wanted to interview the author. But it is a sort of xenomorph-themed hack, and that includes a crafting set that's like a sort of a xenomorph encounter, and kind of a little custom set of dice mechanics and a board that you could use for kind of a one-night, super light, almost board game style encounter there. And after coming back from Gen Con, I gotta say, and this is probably going to break a few hearts, but I gotta say that like the co-op board game world is killing it right now. They are really bringing the thunder, and I personally think that the sort of the TTRPG realm needs to catch up. I think they're getting a little feeling like they're resting on their laurels with tabletop RPGs. We're getting less material. I don't know. I just don't feel the innovation and the horsepower coming like I see on the board game front. It's just the horsepower is amazing. So I went ahead and ordered Mysterium. We're going to play that a bit, and then we're going to get Elder Sign, play that a bit, and going to see if co-op board games have something to offer to this hobby, or if we should just completely stay in the realm of D&D. And for the XP official, that was done by Ism, and he does banners like this of all kinds of different stencil cutouts. And he did that one for me, so you can look him up. It's IZM, and he does these. They're really cool and huge. Yeah, Gen Con was absolutely amazing. I can't say enough about the fun of just kicking it with people. I know there's a lot to do at Gen Con, and I did a lot of stuff, but honestly, it's less of a fun story than just how we met a lot of us out in the beer garden and just had a blast. To me, that's just like real fellowship. And yeah, Gen Con was the sort of the facilitating element. So I'm going to let you guys know the next con that I'm going to be at. And if you can get to that next one, then I really hope that we can do more of that, because that was just damn fun. I know that games come and go. You know, sometimes you have a group, sometimes you don't have a group, sometimes you're making a campaign, sometimes you're finishing one, right? The hobby isn't just playing all the time. Just life is a little more complicated than that. So sometimes it's just great to just gather and just talk and chew the fat and just be people and not necessarily play. So yeah, and if you guys haven't looked into ICRPG, please give it a look. I'm working on a free starter pack for that, so that people who aren't sure they want to get into the game could get a really light sort of free PDF on drive-through to kind of get their feet wet and see if they're into the system. So far, from what I can tell, it really has a lot of sticking power for people who want to play D20 but don't necessarily want the mnemonic load of absorbing, say, 5th edition or D20 Modern or any of those games. So yeah, so it's fun to play. And like Axebane, who's right here in the chat, is also started in on the ICRPG sort of madness. He's got a great fanzine going called Moldy Codex. And Axebane, you should throw a link up to that. But he put that up on drive-through, and it's a fantastic little supplement. You get a dope little adventure. You get some standee cutouts. You get a little town system. And it's just awesome. So it's great to have someone as creative and awesome as Axebane sort of show up, just bringing it with a fully completed fanzine that he's going to keep going, I hope. To me, this is a killer feeling creatively. So everything is definitely expanding all the time. The craziness just doesn't stop, and it's all because you guys keep showing up to hang out. And most importantly, make sure you're getting out there and doing this stuff yourself. D&D is not a spectator sport. It's a doing sport. Oh my God. That's my new inspirational quote. It's not a spectator sport. It's a doing sport. Just like drinking. Yeah, drinking's definitely something I'd rather do than watch. So, anyways, keep getting out there. Get your games together. Play online if you have to. Find a group. Put all this madness to use. And I think that's about it for me. It's been a little more than an hour. My voice is kicking out. My mug is almost empty. And I got a lot done. So, I'll see you guys tomorrow night for the interview with John Harper. Okay, thanks everyone for tuning in. I really, really appreciate it. Thanks for throwing down in the chat room and all that good stuff. And remember to jump over to Patreon and check out that freebie story. Let me know if you like it. Let me know what would be cooler. And let's keep evolving together. And now I must terminate the stream. Stream, be gone!